Today we are making tater tots. Oh my goodness, it makes me so excited. Tater tots, if you don't know what they are, they're an American cafeteria classic. Like, what is a cafeteria without a tater tot? I grew up on them because I went to American schools and this is what they had in the cafeteria. If you don't know what it is, it's like a little compressed potato, grated, cooked, then fried type of situation, originally created in the 1950s by one of the subsidiaries of the Heinz Corporation to use up potato scraps. It then becomes a mainstay of American diners and cafeterias everywhere. And it's going to continue after this, after I show you the tater tots. We'll continue with potato history, which is awesome, but tater tots have to happen first. There's a lot of equipment involved, not a lot of ingredients. It's a process, not mine. Cooks Illustrated, amazing stuff, came up with this because they're geniuses, and I've just adapted it for Pesach. So I've got 1 cup water going in here and 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Do you know that there are places in this world that will sell you salt water for Pesach? Don't do that. Don't buy it. You can make it yourself. This is how. A cup of water, 2.5 teaspoons salt. Pesach salt water doesn't need exact measures. You just taste as you go. And with a fork, I'm going to mix it. Salt water ready ahead of Pesach. Imagine that. Into my food processor is going about 1 kilo. Yeah, exactly. 1 kilo of potatoes. And I'm going to process them. 1 potato got away. He's going in the sink. All right. And we're going to cook. I forgot. The salt water needs to go in with it. Firstly, it'll make the potato processing situation much easier. And on top of that, it seems to rinse some of the starch out of the potatoes. So there are loads of different types of potatoes in the world, different varieties. Being that we are in the new normal, this is just a potato. And whatever potato they had out there is the potato I'm using. So if it's slightly less than perfect, that's okay. New normal calls for slightly less than perfect. And this is the texture I want. Like totally chopped up potatoes. And I'm going to drain them of all that water I put in, which is already draining all over my counter, which is fine. We'll clean the counter. All is good. All right, so all of my potatoes are gonna go in here. I'm gonna press down as much liquid as possible. Check it out, potato water all over. And what this is doing is firstly drying out. That's our next process. We wanna, now that we've rinsed our potatoes of some of their starch, we wanna dry out and cook the potatoes all at the same time. So I'm draining as much liquid as I can. Yes, almost done. And you can make more of this, but I would do it in 2 batches because a food processor will only hold so much. And here we go. I've drained it. You can see the amount of water. Yes, I added water. But then this is going to go into a microwave safe bowl, and my potatoes that have had a rinse of salt are going to go and be microwaved for the next 8 minutes. It's going to cook them, it's going to dry them, so uncovered, and we'll be right back. All right, so my tater tots, the potato mix is out of the microwave. You can see it's dried and it's cooked. And as I mentioned, these are Yiddish potato tater tots. Tater, by the way, short for potato. Americans consume a mind-boggling 70 million pounds of tater tots a year. Incredible. So as I was saying, Yiddish tater tots. So what is it with the Jews and potatoes? The potatoes start making their way east, but they're only actually planted in Eastern Europe in 1839, 1840, where there's this massive famine. And the Jews take to these potatoes really well. It's connected to this massive population boom amongst the Jews because they're consuming the potatoes, which actually are really, really good for you. And prior to that, their nutrition wasn't great. But let's go back to the tater tots and then we'll talk more about potatoes. So I promised you a Jewish Pesach version. So we're adding 1.5 tablespoons of potato starch, and that'll help it bind. And then I'm gonna season it in a very Jewish fashion. 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And here is the optional addition. That is 2 ounces of Kosher Pesach Gouda. We get all these awesome cheeses for Pesach, but if you want to keep this parav, don't add the cheese. So you want to you want to mix these with a relatively light hand because you don't want the potatoes to get too gummy. So yes, you want everything mixed in, but like don't put too much effort into it. All right, once it's all mixed up, I'm gonna move it into my 8-inch square, that's 20 centimeter baking tin, which I lined with aluminum foil. And here's the cute thing about potatoes. In Yiddish, they're called bulba. And with the emergence of the Yiddish theater, especially in New York, when someone messed up their lines, they were said to have a bulba in their mouth. And then that got shortened to making a bulba, like they had a potato in their mouth, and that's why they messed up their lines. And then they made a bulba, like they made a potato. And then that graduated to you made a boo-boo. Haha, amazing, amazing stuff. So if you've ever told your kids, oh, boo-boo, or you made a boo-boo, it comes from the bulba, the potato. It's just incredible potato history. And you wouldn't think such a humble spud had such an incredible history. All right, so my potato mixture, the tater tot mix, is ready to go into the freezer for the next half an hour, which will make the shaping of the tater tots so much easier. And while this freezes, I'm gonna start heating up my oil, which takes ages. So simultaneous, we'll be back when this is frozen and that is hot. Fun times. Right, so my tater tot mixture has come out of the freezer. It was there for half an hour. So it's not frozen, it's just cold and ready to be cut. So most tater tots are like this interesting thumb shape. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you don't, that's cool. But we're just gonna go easier because those tater tots are pushed through like a sausage machine, and that's how they get the shape. Rather than that, I'm just gonna cut them into shape. Putting them into the tin made it possible. Ooh, we're gonna have a bit of an edge there. That's okay. Made it possible for me to just cut them into their required tater tot, as opposed to top shape. And it's okay if not everyone's even. We are not aiming for perfection here, just delicious tater tots. So we're gonna try it out with one and make sure we're going well. So you'll see my oil is at 380 already. I was aiming for 375, but in goes my tater tot into my very hot oil. Now here is the awesome thing about tater tots. You can make loads more than this. Once they're fried, they actually do really well being frozen. So if you don't eat them immediately, freeze them if you could possibly resist. And then to reheat them, you just stick them in the oven to reheat like the frozen tater tots you would buy in America. So let's see. Ooh, it's very exciting in there. So with gentle hands and even wet hands, this is easier to do. And goes another, and I'm going to wet my hands a bit. So I'll show you what a traditional tater tot shape looks like if you want to recreate them at home. They're kind of these rounded cylinders, if you can see. There's my rounded tater tot. But I'll tell you my preference with the square ones is that check that out. That is an awesome looking tater tot. And because we microwaved the potatoes first, they're already cooked. We're just frying them off, man. This is very, very exciting. So these are my Yiddish style kosher Pesach tater tots. What could be better? Seriously. And we learned all about making boo-boos. The world right now is dealing with a whole boo-boo situation. So why not make tater tots? It'll make everyone happy, I promise. Like seriously, there is no happier food in this world. All right, take care, make some tater tots, and see you soon.